Isn't it odd what we're seeing today? Something that has really, I think, opened the eyes of a lot of people as to what's really going on social media right now has been this sudden burst of support for a guy who openly supported Hitler. He quoted Hitler, and then the media turned around and tried to say, oh, well, he was actually trying to quote Albert Einstein. And then he came back into the public and said, no, he meant what he said. Huh. This guy is Hitler, pro Hitler. He's quoting him and saying that he was right about a lot of things. And then saying, and advocating for free market policies. Okay, so we've established this guy is basically in the pocket of the imperialist countries. What's interesting is that these so-called leftists are calling him a populist and a real leftist. And then instantly attack anybody who opposes a Hitlerite as being populist bad. You want everybody to be poor? Which seems to be the actual reaction by Dangists. Literally just bring up how China's not socialist and it does the opposite of socialism. And they go, do you want everybody to be poor? If you criticize them by letting them know that there are physical limits on reality, resources are finite, and it's, you want everybody to be poor? How Malthusian. This seems to be their trigger words, their particular buzzwords that they're supposed to hit. Anytime you mention reality, this is how they respond. How interesting is it that you have all of these politicians, these leaders who are very obviously rightists, some of them outright obvious fascists, like Dugin, and yet these so-called socialist patriots keep cheering them on. While the vast overwhelming majority of the left says, no, these people are fascists, we want nothing to do with them. You're starting to see something just a little bit suspicious here. That the ones who scream synthetic left the most are the ones that are actually embracing right-wing policies, right-wing positions, embracing fascists, and appealing to people in higher classes. And then absolutely dumping on everybody who is an actual leftist. They spend more time attacking the actual left than they spend attacking the right. And I think that these people, like Jackson Hinkle, Jimmy Dore, Haas, Caleb Muppet, I think that this is all very obviously an up. I think these people are the synthetic left that they rail about. Because they keep doing all these right-wing things, and sometimes these far-right things. And dog-whistling to fascists, and sometimes not even dog-whistling, outright coming out and filleting them. As Muppet does with Dugin. So, like, I think I get it now. I think this is a government op. This has to be. I would have just initially thought, oh, this is just first worldism. Oh, well, their idea of socialism isn't, redoing the means of production or changing social relations, which would be largely the point, to it's all about free stuff. It's all about more, 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 more. And then if you say that's not what this is about, it's not about endless amounts of materialism, they scream, do you want everybody to be poor? Now, I would have thought that this was just first worldism. This is just the arrogant, selfish way that first worldists act. And would have left it at that. But when you have this, and cozying up to the right so much, trying to even outright wing them sometimes. I mean, if anybody can look at the trucker protests in Canada and the deliberate spouting of right-wing conspiracy theories, QAnon nonsense, and saying white people are being replaced, and think that's a proletarian movement, I'm sorry, you're a fascist. Even at best, you're pandering to fascists. But what gets me is these people non-stop calling everybody else a synthetic left. You know the phrase, thou doth protest too much? Or projection? I think that's exactly what this is. I think we finally have to come to the rational realization that the Pat Socks and their leaders are a psyop. The only other explanation that makes sense is that they're fascists, which I would be inclined to believe. But the constant pounding of the gavel of synthetic left reeks of psyop. Isn't this what the ultra left does? They do the same thing. They say we're the real, everybody else is fake because we don't bow to their anti-authoritarian, anti-scientific, anti-authoritarian stance. The difference is at least the ultra-lefts are actually left. You can argue that their tactic towards a goal doesn't work, but you can't argue that the goal is something that we disagree with. Fair enough, we both want the same thing and have different ideas about how to get there. But these Pat Socks are completely arguing for things that fly in the face of reality. Things that are literally the opposite of Marxism. An end goal, even some of the weirder stuff coming out of infrared, like being anti-car is anti-proletarian, when literally any economist will tell you that the elimination of private vehicles inside of cities would be a tremendous benefit, not just from a pollution standpoint, but an allocation of resources and having a smoother, more efficient transportation overall. I mean, they're literally flying in the face of what science there actually is in economics. But they'll just say, oh, well, they're bourgeois economists, so therefore they're wrong. You're wrong because I don't like you, sort of thing. Which is not how science is done, and certainly not how revolutionary science is done. But that's the mentality. Apparently these people think that there's just suddenly going to be 7-8 billion cars in the world all on the road at once, and that won't cause massive congestion. Oh, we'll just make more highways. What an idiotic waste of resources. There's a reason why Marxists have always been with economic planning. From the Feldman-Manubis model to the very hardcore mathematical, technological, cyber socialism as espoused by Paul Cockshott, where very much everything is done through a computer model to find the most efficient and rational way to use resources. Because that's what Marxism is, a scientific approach. Not just infinite free stuff that doesn't exist in real life. Or idiotic notions about mining asteroids and You can make steel. As Caleb Muppet once told me, you can make. Who's to say we can't learn to make steel out of dirt? If your concept of science and revolutionary science includes alchemy, you very clearly are doing the opposite of science. Even a grade 10 science student could tell you why that doesn't work. Anybody could tell you that transmuting matter takes more energy than it gives, but then turn around and claim that, oh, in the future there'll be infinite energy. Everything is infinite, so therefore infinite everything. I mean, the stupidity of this is beyond anything. Infinite free stuff doesn't build socialism. Social and economic relations build socialism. That's why it's a revolutionary science. And Marx made all these arguments as to why the relationship to the means of production produces alienation and why it has to change. Marx didn't say, oh yeah, just free stuff in the future, everything cool. But these unscientific people, and some of them I expect to be unscientific, like Jimmy Dore or Jackson Hinkle, they're not Marxists, so I don't expect them to use revolutionary science or Marxist analysis. So I don't blame them for that. But fascists who run around claiming that they're Marxists and then calling everybody else the synthetic left, them I do openly criticize for that. It's nonsense. So I think maybe it's about time that we started recognizing that the people who scream synthetic left the most actually are the synthetic left themselves and absolutely positively reek of government control. I think we should start considering these people not just to be fascists, but to be wholly compromised by the US government, to be fakes and plants themselves. Because not only do they doth protest too much, but they're actually actively sabotaging real leftist work and then turning around, building cults of personality and inviting people to come to their retreat in some kind of massive ego-stroking nonsense. And then arguing the opposite of revolutionary science. I think it's about time that we started seeing these pants socks for what they are. Not just fascists. The actual synthetic left themselves. They're fakes. They're plants. They are blatantly and obviously anti-Marxist. And they should be shunned, ridiculed, and pushed out of the public sphere.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.